Payment of stamp duty were one transaction with several instruments. So there are many situations or many confusions which we have when we pay stamp duty. So for that we have section 4 which talks about when there are several documents used in a single transaction. So suppose I have a big property and I am selling it to 4 different people. So that time I have basically 4 documents for one single transaction. So like that what happens? So in the case of sale, mortgage or settlement, if there are several instruments for one transaction, stamp duty is payable only on one instrument. So we have to understand only on one instrument we have to pay stamp duty. On the other instrument, nominal stamp duty 1 rupee is payable. But we have to pay it for the value of the entire transaction. That is important. So we don't have to pay for every instrument. For the value of the entire transaction we have to pay. So what is this? We have to understand clearly. So if one instrument relates to several distinct matters, then stamp duty is payable on the aggregate amount. So that's why I told you. So we cannot say, oh, only 1 rupee. No. For 3 items, 4 items, whatever it is, we have to pay the total stamp duty, whatever is the value. And then we have to make sure that it is coming to the aggregate amount. So that is very important. Next we come to section 6. That is instruments coming with several description. So what happens in schedule 1? We have so many items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when I look at the transaction, I feel, oh, okay, it is point number 2. Then I say, no, it is point number 4 also. Oh, no, sorry, it is point number 3. So you're getting confused. So where we have several descriptions in schedule 1, instruments coming under several description. So under which description should I pay? 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5? So at that time what we should understand is that an instrument so framed to come within 2 or more descriptions shall be where the duties chargeable thereunder are different, be chargeable only with the highest of the duty. So that means suppose for point number 1 it is 10%, for point number 2 it is 8%, for point number 3 it is 6%, point number 4 it is 7%, and point number 5 it is 3%. So I have to pay only 10% if it is coming under point number 1. So if it is coming under 2 to 3, it's confusing, then pay the stamp duty of the highest. Please remember, we are giving money to the state or the central government, so they will not take discount offer. You must give them the highest stamp duty. So when you are confused and you think it is coming under 2 to 3 descriptions of the list, pay the stamp duty rate at the duty which is the highest according to the schedule 1. So this is what we must understand very, very carefully. So provided that nothing in this act contains shall render chargeable with duty exceeding 1 rupee, counterpart or duplicate of any instrument chargeable with duty, and in respect of proper duty has been paid. So this is not relevant today. So distinct matter. So what do you mean by distinct matter? Yes. So agreement for service and lease. So there are 2 distinct matters. Document containing both an agreement for dissolution of partnership and bond. So there are 2 different things. I am getting confused. I must pay stamp duty which is highest as per schedule 1. But sometimes what it may happen is that one instrument is covering only one matter, can come under more than one description. Then the highest rate specified among the different heads will prevail. So if it is coming under different heads, the highest under the different heads we have to take. So that is very important. So when is section 4 not applicable? A lease is executed and got registered. A second document is executed altering the terms of the first document. The second document has to be stamped as a lease. So this is very important. That time we cannot take shelter under section 4. So if we go back, so payments of stamp duty under section 4, that is several instruments used in a single transaction. So when this is not applicable, when we have one agreement and second document is for alteration. So when the second document is altered, then the terms of the first document, that time we have to pay stamp duty on the second document also. So this is what we have to understand. Now we will come to bonds debentures issued under the Local Authorities Loan Act 1879. So what does this act say? So this is basically about what are the concepts relating to bonds, debenture, etc. So we'll try to understand that in the next video. So securities dealt in depository not liable to stamp duty. This is what you have to understand. This is very important for exam. Listing agreement. So listing agreement is for any company which is listed. So please understand, if the shares are in demat form, it may be for listed company, it may be for unlisted company, it may be for even private company. If it has listed the shares, that means if the shares are in dematerial form, then stamp duty is not applicable. So securities, when I say securities, it is shares, scrips, bonds, debentures, whatever. So if it is dealt in a depository, that means it is there in a demat form, then no stamp duty is there. So I have seen some private companies which is having like 100 crores capital or something. They don't keep share certificate. Why? They can save stamp duty if they have the demat form. It is private company, but still they are keeping the shares in demat form. Why? To save the stamp duty. Why? Because section 8A says that notwithstanding anything in the act, an issuer of securities for one or more depositories, they will not have stamp duty if it is in a Depositories Act. So that is very important for us to understand. So you should please understand, if your securities, shares, scrips, bonds, debentures are in demat form under the Depositories Act, then we don't have to pay stamp duty. But if you have a private company, public unlisted company, at that time what happens? Private company or public unlisted company, we have to make sure that we pay the stamp duty for the share certificate. For share certificate we have to pay stamp duty. But if it is in demat, not required. So this is what we have to understand. It is including for the share transfer, the registered owners of a depository, beneficial ownership. For any of this we don't have to pay stamp duty. So once we understand that, we need to understand corporatization and demutualization schemes related to the instruments not liable to duty. So this is also section 8B. So anything, scheme for corporatization or demutualization of a recognized stock exchange, that time we don't have to pay stamp duty. You have to know this very, very well. So the same thing is continuing. We can come to the next concept, reduction, remission and compounding of duties. So government can reduce or remit the whole part of duties payable. Suppose I have to pay 10 lakhs. I will go ask the government, please, I don't want to pay 10 lakhs, it is 5 lakhs, and I give a valid reason. Government has a power to reduce the stamp duty or remit the whole of the part of the duties payable. So this is what we have to understand very, very carefully. So such reduction or remission can be in respect of whole or part of the territories or for a particular class of person. Suppose there is a NGO. They are doing some social work. So government feels they are doing good work. Why should we make them pay stamp duty? So they can say that you don't pay stamp duty for the land which you are going to purchase. So government has that power. Government can also compound or consolidate the duties in case of issue of shares or debentures by companies. So this is something which we have to understand, which power of the government is there. So here government means central government in respect of stamp duties of bill of exchange, state government for other documents. So for everything else, for most of the things, state government has the powers. Valuation for duty under the Act, section 20 to 28. So we have to understand the valuation. That means how do we decide what is the value of the duty to be paid. So section 20 we have to understand, that is relating to foreign currencies. So if amount is expressed in foreign currency, rate of exchange on the date of instrument will be considered for finding the value in Indian rupees. So what should we know? The rate of exchange on the date of the instrument. So not today. So $1 is 65.78 rupees. So we should see what is the date of signing of the instrument. So as on that date, we have to see what is the rate, and that will be the expression for us to know what is the valuation. So based on the value, we pay the stamp duty. So central government may prescribe the rates from time to time. So they may change. Now it is, let us say, 5% for sale of land. They can make it 7%, 8%. They can even reduce it to 3%, whatever it is. So value of stock or security will be calculated on the basis of average price of the date of instrument. So we have to see the overall divided by the average price of the rate of instrument. Okay. So for share transfer deed, stamp duty is payable on the basis of market value of the shares. So please understand. So let us try to understand. Suppose there is shares worth 1000 rupees. So I want to transfer. So if I transfer it for 800 rupees or I transfer it for 1500 rupees. If I transfer it for 1000 rupees, it is very simple. For 1000 rupees, I must pay stamp duty. If I transfer for 800, still I must pay for 1000 because that is the face value. But if I transfer the shares for 1500, this is what we call as the market value. So this is the market value concept. So market value is 1500. I pay stamp duty on 1500. I cannot tell, oh, for 1000 is my face value. I am going to pay only for 1000 stamp duty for 1000 rupees. So let us say it is 0.25%. For 2.25% into 1000 I am going to pay. No, you must pay 0.25 into 1500 because that is market value of the securities. So if instrument indicates the current market value rate and the instrument is stamped according to that rate, it will be presumed that the instrument is duly stamped. So this is very, very important. Duly stamped. Duly stamped means properly stamped as per the Indian Stamp Act. So even if a document mentions interest to be charged, valuation will be done interest portion without considering the interest portion. So this is very important for us to understand. So we will not calculate interest portion when we calculate the valuation for the instrument, and then the stamp duty will be calculated. Next we come to section 26. Stamp duty where value of the subject matter is indeterminate. That means it is difficult to value. So what we cannot determine. We cannot find out the value. How do we decide the stamp duty? Where value of subject matter cannot be ascertained precisely on date of execution, stamp should be fixed on the estimated basis. So we will take the estimate. So estimate comes into picture. However, in such case, maximum amount that can be claimed on such instrument will be only the value on which stamp duty has actually been paid and nothing more. So we have to see the value of the stamp duty paid and nothing more. Next, very important for exam, consideration to be set out. So section 27, facts affecting duty should be set forth in the instrument. So it should be written in the instrument. So the consideration means what? What is the money? What is the value? What is the amount? So it should be in the instrument. So consideration means if I am selling my house, I should tell the consideration is 80 lakhs. So it should be where? It should be in the instrument. Which instrument? Sale deed. Yes. So the consideration and all other facts should be in the instrument. The amount of duty, everything will be based on that. So value of any property would mean that real value of the property in open market at the time of document was executed and not when the time when the executant acquired it. So I will buy the land in 1995. I am selling it in 2018. So I should calculate 2018 price as value of the property and not 1995. So that is what we have to understand. Where there is no value set forth in the instruments, there would be contravention of the Act. But omission does not render the document inadmissible when it is to be impounded and taxed as per section 35. So impounded is basically like a punishment. When you are paying the stamp duty late, it can be impounded for lack of stamp duty or less stamp duty which is paid. Persons liable to pay stamp duty. Who is liable to pay stamp duty? So let us try to understand the scenario. So first scenario, in case of bond of exchanges or debentures, promissory note, mortgage deed and settlement, stamp duty is payable by person drawing, making or executing the instrument. So if it is A to B, A will pay the stamp duty. In the case of insurance, stamp duty is payable by person issuing the insurance policy. So the insurance company, so LIC, Tata, AIG, Aegon, whatever insurance company, they pay the stamp duty. In case of conveyance, it is by the grantee who may be purchaser or the beneficiary. So again, whoever is purchasing. So if I am selling my land and you are buying it, you have to pay stamp duty. If you are selling the land and I am buying it, I have to pay the stamp duty. In case of partition deed, partition of the house or something like that property, it is payable by parties to partition have to pay in proportion to their respective shares. So here it is proportionate. So it will be shared by everyone to pay the stamp duty. Okay. So there is a obligation as per section 30. We have to give receipt in certain cases. So any person receiving money exceeding 20 rupees, that means in today's world everybody, because this act was 1899, but today 20 rupees has no value. It means it is for the document purpose, there is no value. That is why any bill of exchange, check or promissory note which is exceeding 20 rupees, that means everything. Then on receiving in satisfaction or part satisfaction of debt or any movable property exceeding 20 rupees, delivering of such money bill of exchange which give a duly stamped receipt. So we have to give a receipt on every document when we are executing it and implementing it for stamp duty. Adjudication of the stamp duty or how much we should pay. So this is one thing which we have to know in this particular chapter. In Indian Stamp Act, sometimes we need to determine how much stamp duty to pay. So normally what happens, the person who is paying the duty will be paying according to his calculation. But then please remember, government should never be cheated by the public. So we should know how much is the exact stamp duty. So in complex documents, person paying the duty may not be sure about the stamp duty which is payable. So we have to make sure about how much the stamp duty is payable, and the opinion of the collector is the right person. So collector will determine how much is the stamp duty when we come to adjudication. So collector is the person who is having the final authority about the amount of stamp duty. Certificate regarding fully paid duty. So what happened here is that a person who has paid the stamp duty and has executed an instrument can apply to collector to certify the stamp duty which is correctly paid. So they will get a certificate which said that they have completed the payment. So this is very important for us to understand. So here what is very important is that the collector is the person who is having the authority, and he can also certify that no stamp duty is payable on the instrument. Suppose there is no stamp duty payable, he can also do that particular endorsement. So application for the endorsement should be made within 1 month from execution of document in India. So 1 month is the time within which you must go to the collector. And then let us try to understand instrument which is not duly stamped. So here we need to understand this duly. So duly means nothing but properly stamped. So duly means if we have stamped it as per the act. So suppose we must pay 500 and we have paid 400, that means it is not duly stamped. So if for 500, if we pay 500, it is duly stamped. Next we come to the concept of impounding of instrument. So if instrument which is not stamped is produced as evidence before an authority, he shall impound the same. So impound means they can cancel. So if you have an agreement, or if you have a document, if you have a sale deed which you have not stamped properly, it can be impounded, it can be cancelled. So this is something which you must know very carefully. Instrument which is not stamped properly, that means the stamp duty which we have to pay, if that is not stamped properly, it cannot stand the test of the court and you will not be getting evidence. So please understand, instrument which are not stamped or the stamp duty amount is not paid, it is not to be taken as evidence if there is any case. So this is very, very important. So a receipt which is not duly stamped can be accepted as evidence on penalty of payment of penalty of 1 rupee. But today this is not applicable. So instrument insufficiently stamped can be accepted as evidence on payment of penalty of 10 times the difference in duty. So this is the punishment. So suppose we must pay 1000 rupees. 10 times 1000 rupees. So 100 rupees, 10 times is 1000 rupees. So if we pay the penalty, then we can go for the evidence, it can be collected. So you will have a penalty of 900 rupees. Same way, suppose it is 1 lakh is the stamp duty, 10 lakhs will be the penalty if you should accept it as a evidence. So this is something which we must know very well in the stamp duty. If contract or agreement is affected by more than 1 letters, the contract will be treated as duly stamped if any one of the letters bears the proper stamp. So even if one document has the correct stamp duty paid, then it will be accepted. So even one document, it is fine. That is what we have to understand. Next we can go to the special provisions as to unstamped receipts. So section 34. So here what it says is that if there is any unstamped receipt, the discretion of the stamp duty authority is final. Then we come to endorsement of instruments on which duty has been paid under section 35. So when the duty and penalty is any liable in respect of any instrument, then every instrument shall be admissible in evidence. So this is something we have to know. Power of revenue authority to refund the penalty or excess duty in certain cases. Suppose you must pay 10,000 rupees stamp duty. By mistake you have paid 1 lakh rupees stamp duty. So 90,000 is what you must get as refund. So here we need to understand is that the revenue authority, like the sub-registrar office, they have the power, that is, when we make a return application within 1 year from the date of payment, the refund can be done wholly or in part. So the entire refund 90,000 can be given, or they may say they will give 80,000, whatever, they should give the reasons. So that is what we must understand, where the stamp authorities have the power to refund if you have paid more duty. Non-liability for loss of instrument sent under section 38. So here, if any instrument sent to the collector under 38 is lost, destroyed or damaged during the transmission, the person sending the same shall not be liable for such loss, destruction or damage. The person from whose possession it came into the hands of the person impounding the same may require a copy thereof to be made at the expense of such first mentioned person and authenticated by the person impounding such instrument. So if anybody is there who is for loss of instrument sent under section 38, they will not be liable. So that is what we need to understand here. Please remember, not paying stamp duty is nothing but a criminal offense. It is a serious thing. It is a criminal offense if you don't pay stamp duty, and that is why we must be very careful when we are doing this. So as per the section 61 subsection 4, collector has got the power for what? In order to prosecute a person if any offense against Stamp Act which he considers that the person has committed. So that means if you don't pay stamp duty, it is a criminal offense. The collector has the power to prosecute you. That means to file a case against you. The prosecution is instituted when he is satisfied that the offense is committed with an intention of evading if you want to escape from giving stamp duty. So if you are evading, if you are escaping, then you will be given a prosecution and you will be given a concept where you will be punished. So that is why a case can be filed against you. So criminal offences. So as you can see here, the offences and what is the penalties and what is the imprisonment, the list is given. You don't have to worry in detail, but you should just know the basics. So it is a serious thing. If you don't pay stamp duty, it is a criminal offence. That is what you should know very clearly. E-stamping. So this is the new concept now we should know. E-stamping is a concept where e-stamping is computer-based application and secured way of paying non-judicial stamp of the government. So if you want to buy any stamp paper now, so this is the example. So this is e-stamp, this is traditional stamp paper. So now e-stamp is more safe, it is transparent, and it is first of all easy, and there will be no scam. So we know the Karim Lala scam, where then there was a person who made fake stamp papers like this, which you can see here. And now because it is a non-judicial stamp paper, we can have a computer based application. It will look like this. This is example Government of Karnataka. So it will have a unique number over here, and that is the reason why it cannot be cheated and you will be having a safety. So e-stamp can be generated within minutes. E-stamp is generated tamper proof. Then authentication of stamp can be checked through inquiry module. Then e-stamp certificate generated as unique identification number, and specific denomination is not required. So even for 1 rupee also, if you want, you can take e-stamp. Even for 5623 some odd number also, you can take the e-stamps. So e-stamp certificate can be checked by any person through recommended website. So that is the advantage. So that comes to the end of this chapter, and we have understood all the concepts relating to the Indian Stamp Act.